Yellow Sea. 2:17 p.m. The water looked calm. Too calm. Sunlight bounced off small waves as the USS John S. McCain cut through international waters. Its gray hull steady, radar sweeping, crew settled into what felt like another routine patrol. No alarms, no tension. Just the hum of engines and the quiet confidence of a modern American destroyer doing its job. But calm at sea is often a lie. Because at that exact moment, less than 45 miles away, North Korean naval commanders were watching the same stretch of water and seeing something very different. An opportunity, a test, maybe even a message waiting to be sent. One used destroyer, seemingly alone, close enough to be challenged. And in Pyongyang, someone gave the order. Not to talk, not to warn, but to swarm. At 2:05 p.m., 14 fast attack boats slipped away from concealed coastal facilities. Small, low to the water. Easy to miss if you didn't know what to look for. Each boat carried a crew of 4. Each crew knew exactly what they were supposed to do. Close fast, attack together, fire at point-blank range. This wasn't meant to be a long battle. It was meant to be overwhelming. A sudden, violent strike that would leave no time to think. North Korea has hundreds of these boats. They're not impressive on their own. Fiberglass hulls, limited armor, basic sensors. But when they move together, when they attack as one mass, they become something else entirely. A living weapon. By 2:12 p.m., the boats were racing across the Yellow Sea at over 40 knots, splitting into 3 groups, spreading out just enough to confuse radar, just enough to complicate targeting solutions. On board the USS McCain, the first warning wasn't visual. It was electronic. The Combat Information Center lit up. Multiple contacts. Fast-moving. Low profile. Closing distance. At 2:15 p.m., Commander David Park leaned forward, eyes locked on the display. These weren't fishing boats. They weren't patrol craft. Their speed alone gave them away. Confirm classification, he ordered. The answer came back almost instantly. Military. North Korean fast attack craft. Multiple units. That was the moment the day changed. General quarters sounded throughout the ship. Sailors moved with precision, muscle memory kicking in. Weapons crews took their positions. Systems came online. Hatches sealed. The destroyer transformed from a patrol vessel into a floating weapons platform in seconds. Distance closed fast. 10 miles. 8 miles. 5. At 2 miles, the boats suddenly broke formation. They split. They flanked. They accelerated. Classic swarm tactics. Commander Park didn't flinch. He'd trained for this. His crew had trained for this. And unlike the attackers racing toward them, he knew something they didn't. The USS McCain was not alone. Hidden beyond the horizon was another destroyer, the USS Hopper, running parallel operations. Even farther out, 8 Marine Corps attack helicopters were already airborne, conducting exercises that could turn into combat at a moment's notice. And beneath McCain's deck plates was something far more terrifying to small boats in courage or speed. Automation. The ship's combat system could track dozens of targets simultaneously. It didn't panic. It didn't hesitate. It didn't miss. At 1,000 meters, the North Korean boats opened fire. Heavy machine gun rounds slapped the water near the hull, sending sprays skyward. Tracers streaked past the bridge. It was loud, chaotic, violent. Hostile fire confirmed, came the report. Commander Park didn't raise his voice. Engage, he said. Weapons free. The Phalanx CIWS came alive. The sound was unlike anything else at sea. A deep, metallic roar, like tearing steel amplified through a megaphone. The 6-barrel Gatling gun rotated at impossible speed, spitting 20mm rounds faster than the eye could follow. The lead boat simply ceased to exist. Rounds ripped through its hull. detonating fuel, shredding crew compartments. One moment it was charging forward. The next, it was debris and fire. The second boat died seconds later, then the third. 30 seconds into the engagement, 3 attackers were gone. But the swarm didn't stop. 11 boats kept coming. At 2:21 p.m., 2 white lines appeared on the water. Torpedoes. They cut through the sea with deadly intent, racing straight toward the destroyer's hull. Commander Park reacted instantly. Hard turn. Full power. The massive ship leaned as it maneuvered. One torpedo passed harmlessly behind. The other missed by less than the length of a football field. Too close. Fleet Command, this is McCain. Park transmitted. Under active attack. Multiple fast craft. Torpedoes in the water. The reply came without hesitation. Copy. Air support en route. 8 Vipers. Hold. Hold. Easier said than done. The remaining boats regrouped with chilling discipline. They adapted. 4 split to port, 4 to starboard. The rest pressed straight in, firing continuously, trying to force the destroyer into a defensive posture. The Phalanx guns worked non-stop. Another boat exploded. Another caught fire and veered away, crippled. But 6 attackers were still operational. They were closer now, dangerously close. At 200 meters, crews aboard the boats began preparing anti-ship missiles. This was the moment the North Koreans wanted. Too close for comfort. Too many threats at once. Commander Park made a decision most captains would hesitate to make. He ordered the destroyer forward. The USS McCain surged ahead, its massive displacement turning the sea itself into a weapon. The bow wave rolled outward like a moving wall. Small boats struggled to maintain control. 2 were caught immediately. They flipped, capsized, gone. One boat tried to cross the destroyer's path in a desperate run, engine screaming. It didn't clear the bow. The collision was brief and brutal. Fiberglass shattered. Metal groaned. The boat snapped apart and disappeared beneath the waves. 9 attackers eliminated. 5 remained. At 2:26 p.m., those 5 fired everything they had left. 2 more torpedoes launched from opposite sides. There was no clean escape. Commander Park deployed acoustic decoys. 1 torpedo turned away, confused, detonating harmlessly in the distance. The other didn't. It stayed locked. 30 seconds to impact. And then the sky thundered. Rotor noise rolled across the water as 8 AH-1Z Viper helicopters crested the horizon. Marine pilots took in the scene in seconds. A U.S. destroyer, 5 hostile boats, active torpedoes, all Vipers, the lead pilot called. Weapons-free, prioritized torpedo carriers. Hellfire missiles dropped from pylons in perfect sequence. Precision-guided, unforgiving. 5 impacts. 5 explosions. 5 boats erased. The torpedo still ran. 1 Viper peeled off, lighting up a shot that would be remembered for years. Its 20mm cannon fired in a controlled burst. The torpedo detonated mid-water. At 2:28 p.m., the fight was over. 14 boats, 19 minutes. Complete destruction. Survivors clung to wreckage in the water, some injured, some dead, none still fighting. At 2:30 p.m., the USS Hopper arrived. 2 minutes later, Marine Ospreys descended with rescue teams. Despite everything, Commander Park issued an order that surprised no one who understood the U.S. Navy. Recover survivors. 32 North Korean sailors were pulled from the sea, treated, fed, protected. 24 did not survive. The message reached Pyongyang before nightfall. Swarm tactics had failed, speed had failed, numbers had failed, and the cost had been absolute. The USS John S. McCain resumed patrol. Commander Park received commendation. The survivors were eventually repatriated. North Korea still has its boats, still trades. still threatens. But they have never again attempted to swarm an American destroyer. Because in the Yellow Sea, at 2:17 p.m., they learned something they won't forget. You don't overwhelm the United States Navy. You disappear.